Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on what side of the pond you're on. And welcome to a very special episode of Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and today I'm joined by my co-host Tony Robinson, where we're going to have the most prominent Accrington Stanley supporters and on the show here as the 2021-22 season is kicking off this Saturday, August 7th, and Tony and I thought it would be a good idea to sit down and chat with the folks who are our regulars at the Wham Stadium and have been following the club for years and get some predictions on what everybody sees coming for the upcoming season. Of course, Tony, I, and Darren will be doing our season preview Across the Pub episode next week. But this week, I'm super excited because this is something that we've never done before, where we've really been able to get more folks involved and in the predictions. And, well, I think I've talked enough. So our first guest here is Gary De-Maine. Welcome to the show, Gary, and thank you for joining us here today.
Hi, Phil. Yeah, no, it's good to be here. Hopefully I can do you justice.
Hi, Gary. It's Tony. Nice to hear your voice again. Hope all's well at your end.
Yeah, we're doing okay. We're having a bit of a nice summer, so that helps. And we're good.
And you got away to some concert on the weekend, so that's kind of nice to get outdoors and have some fun.
Yeah, it's good to be sort of out and about again now. The concert was superb, and being around lots of people again. It's what you need, really. I know some people want to be inside at the moment and just see how things go, but doubly vaccinated and ready for fun.
Yeah, well, that's good. And it's nice to get outside and get some fresh air and enjoy, and that's what we'll be doing when it comes to football. But before we want to go on, Phil, I just wanted to acknowledge Gary's father, John De-Maine, who played such a pivotal role in the history of Stanley, and that's an episode in itself that hopefully we'll touch on sometime. But we just want to acknowledge that, Gary, that what a role your dad played at the club.
No, cheers, Tony. That's really nice. My dad did put a lot of effort in over the years, and it's good that people remember him fondly. That's a nice sentiment. Thanks, Tony.
Absolutely, Gary, and like Tony said, this is the first time that we've had you on the show, and this is kind of a shorter episode today, but definitely in the future, we'd love to have you on the show for a full-length episode and tell all of your stories about Accrington Stanley.
And some of his dads, too, because I'm sure there's some dandies in there, Gary.
Absolutely.
Could probably write a book on it, really.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You get Darren to write it for you. Just give him the material and Darren write it for you. Yeah.
Well, my auntie did the proofreading for Darren's book, so it's, we've already got 4 in there.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. Okay, let's jump in and get back onto the agenda. Just a couple of quick questions sort of to get things underway. And it might be a hard question for you, because what's your best memory of yourself supporting the club? I mean, you've been following them so long. So can you pick one memory that just jumps out that you say, that's my best?
No.
There we go. We're off to a flying start, Phil. This is great.
There's too many. 30 years I've been watching them ever since the first round of the FA Cup against Crewe at Ewood, and that's one of the memories. There's so many games. There's stuff involving my dad as well, coming home and he's there counting his pound coins because he'd been out collecting the weekly draw money, and then he'd be coming up with designs for fridge magnets, and he wanted me to print them off using the computer and all that kind of thing. So there's all those sorts of things. There's the I was there moments, so all the cup runs, the big games against Forest and Newcastle and Spurs, Scunthorpe. Great games. There's when we've won the championships, Altrincham, Farsley Celtic, the 3-0 do or die final game of the season. We had to win it or that was it. We weren't going up, and it was the first promotion for Coley and Jimmy, and Doolor was playing at the time as well in the side. So, fantastic memories, and then just straight forward ones like I remember we just got promoted into League One. It was early in the season, and we played Wimbledon. The pitch was like a bowling green, and I remember afterwards, Coley said we were like Barcelona today, and he was absolutely right. We won the game 2-1, and the passing was superb. It was just one of those games that stuck in my mind, and I don't know whether other people remember that, but it was a period, like I say, just after promotion, and we were doing really well. We set off like a rocket, and we were in danger, I think, at one point of getting promoted again, which probably wouldn't have done as many favours. But that was one sort of outstanding memory of a maybe not so significant game other than just the football we played. But again, you've got the Sunderland game too. Paul Smith's somersault, the championship game against Yeovil. And again, one memory I've got of probably the best one really is when we played Exeter. And it was just after my dad had died, and the ultras had done a banner, and it said, "Excuse me, I'm cracking up here. Let's do it for John." And it was just like that summed up Stanley for me. The crowd, the ultras, people in the crowd recognising that someone had done great things for the club, but they, at the same time, were doing great things for the club as well in their way. And I think that's probably the highlight. It's just the community spirit of the place. And afterwards, people, coming up to me and talking and sharing the memories about my dad, and even Steve Perryman, who I think he was involved with Exeter. I don't know if he was the chairman. Once played for Spurs. This footballer from my youth, this great footballer. He'd met my dad previously in games gone by, and he'd fond memories as well. And that's probably one of the best memories, really. I know I've sort of cheated a bit by rambling on about.
Well, it's just incredible what you were saying earlier. It really goes back to a big part of what made me fall in love with Accrington Stanley, is how it is just such a family and community atmosphere. And if someone who is a supporter of the club passes away, it's like a member of the family passing away for the entire Accrington community. And it just really is a family atmosphere that you don't see with sports teams, certainly over here in the U.S. And I think it's unique over there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many great contributors throughout Stanley's history. Prior to the team going out of the Football League in '62, and then all the people who were involved in getting them back there. Jack Barrett, Eric Worley, Andy Holt himself will go down as an absolute legend.
I mean, there's just so many names, and I think we're without any of them that we might not be here talking today. But what we are here to talk about today is the upcoming season, which we think could be potentially the most successful season in the modern Stanley history, with the lineup that we potentially have. So, what are you looking forward to the most for the first league match at Wham Stadium when you get to return?
I think again, the crowd being together, the ultras singing, just being in the, it's going to be the marquee at the moment, isn't it? Because we haven't got a bar; it's still being built. The new offices and the fantastic developments that have been going on over the years are being continued by Andy. So we'll be in the marquee having a beer and hopefully the winners' hour atmosphere as well. I don't know if we're continuing with winners' hour, but hopefully we'll have won and we'll just have a drink anyway. You know what I mean? It's I think it's that side of things, the banter on the terraces. I was at the Preston game, the friendly, the other week, and it's still there. There's a bit of cheekiness going on with the ultras, with the Preston North End keeper and things like that. So that's the sort of thing you miss when you're watching it on iFollow. You don't have the all the wit and wisdom going on around you, and the opinions, because some of them are completely bonkers. Probably most of them mine, it's that thing. I mean, you want your side to win. But win, draw or lose, it's being around all those friends and supporters that I think make it a great thing.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a common answer, Gary and Phil, because it's it's the obvious answer, but the crowd, and it translates through to people like us watching on iFollow, because we can hear the singing, and you don't hear the echoes of Coleman yelling or Jimmy Bell yelling, So
I think they turned Sean Coleman's microphone off.
Yeah. I just want to jump in, moving along, to jump into what you see as a starting lineup for the first part of the season. And we can look at it two ways. I mean, I know Seamus is out, but if he's healthy, he's going to play. So if you want to approach it that way, whatever you think, Gary. But what's your formation, and what do you think your starting lineup looks like?
Yeah, I mean, I've based it on Seamus not being fit, but I think on any other day, Seamus is absolutely central to the team. Right. We always play better when he's playing. People don't appreciate sometimes just how key he is to, sort of making the ball move, the link up between defence and attack, and he can read the game so well. But I've left him out of this team because he's injured.
Yeah, right.
I'm looking at, I think Trafford, the loan keeper, has to start just because he's on loan and he's come here to get games, but Toby Savin's a great young keeper and will have a big career. I would have him in there, other than I know Trafford probably will start. You've got Knotts, Rossi Sykes, he's back, brilliant, and Cam Burgess at the back. So I've got a back three.
Right.
Three big central defenders. I think that's worked well for us during last season.
Yeah.
Midfield's a bit tricky. I've seen a couple of friendlies. I saw the Clitheroe and the Preston. I think John O'Sullivan will be on one wing and Pritchard on the other, or I'd like to see them on each wing. Sean seems to have come inside a bit since he came back from his Achilles, so he's sort of playing, I think, just in front of midfield. I'm not too sure. I'm not right good at picking up on these things.
Like a number 10 in a number, sort of a number 10.
Yeah,
role.
The old a bit Scholesy really, but maybe not as much bite. I think Harry Pell will be there just in front of the back four, I think. Big tall lad again, coming up for corners, great passer of the ball from what I can remember when he's played against us. Pantomime villain as well. We all like having one of them in the side.
Yeah, he's behind you.
And I think Tom Lee, I'd like to see Tom Lee start. I've seen him play. He came on as a sub against Preston, and I think he played the second half against Clitheroe.
He's a number 17. It was either 17, one that got the crossover to Pritchard.
I'm not too sure, but he was all over the place against Preston. He was everywhere. He's fantastic, and he was like a skillful Procky, really.
Right.
No offence to Procky or his nephew, and obviously he's come up a lot of levels. I think there was Bogner or there 5 levels below us or something like that. So he's probably not going to play a full 90 minutes, but I think it'd be good to see him start just to give that midfield, a bit of sort of skill in the middle, I think. But whether he plays there, I don't know. But he did seem to be, sort of like running around like a central midfield terrier from what I could see against Preston. Anyway, but actually, I might be wrong. I am a bit hopeless for these sorts of things.
Well, who do you think's going to be up front then? Are we going with the two main fellas, Gary?
Oh, of course. It's got to be Bishop and Dion up front, I think, to start.
Yeah.
We're lucky to still have Dion. I think I don't know whether we've worked miracles there, or whether Dion can see this is going to be a big season for us, and wants to make his name that way. But it's great that he's still with us. And Colby, coming back from injury last season and a few setbacks, but once he gets into his stride, we've seen both of those two front players score, braces, and it's they're more than capable of demolishing most defences between them. I think Joel Mumbongo, he'll come on at some point. I think he's going to be a big impact player for us.
Yes, agreed.
He's one of those players who I don't think defenders know what he's going to do, because I don't think he knows what he's going to do. It's all instinctive,
and that's why he needs to play, isn't it? He's going to get some minutes. He's going to get some minutes, isn't he? Just to finish off, this is $1 million question. Where do you put Stanley at the end of the season, Gary?
Gone are the days where we're after 50 points and everything else is a bonus. I think this season is playoff territory. We had 13 draws last season. If we'd have turned 4 of those draws into wins, which we're more than capable of, we'd have been in the playoffs this season. And we always make progress with John's side. So playoffs definitely, but we're not very good at winning playoff games, so I don't think we'll get promoted. It'd be nice to get to Wembley. I think that would be good. But and if you go to Wembley, you want to win. But no, I think we're more than capable of reaching the playoffs. So certainly top half. But yeah, I'm going for the playoffs.
Good man, Phil. Gary.
I think that you're on the track of what I'm thinking. I'm not going to give away too much of what I'm thinking, but we're of the same mind frame, I think.
Well, it's been great. We've got a limited time because we want to get to some of the other fans, Gary. But you've been a real treat, and we'll get you back on to expand some of those stories and talk about your dad. And I'm going to miss seeing you having a drink with you at the Wham Stadium. But better times ahead, and we'll take care, and we'll talk to you soon, mate.
Great stuff. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you so much, Gary. We really appreciate having you on, and really wish we had more time today, and definitely going to have to get you on in the future to hear all of your stories. But until then, on Stanley on. Cheers.
On Stanley on. The Reds.
Well, we're back with our fan preview show. We've got another special guest on with us today from all the way from Accrington, our good friend Debra Phillips. Debra, it's nice to talk to you again, and nice to have you on the show. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Yes, it's all good here. Nice in sunny Accrington. At the minute.
Good heavens, you don't hear that too often.
Great to have you on, and thank you so much for joining us today, Debra. And I have seen that you recently have gotten a position with the Supporters Trust Board, and congratulations on that. And why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about what you're doing with the Supporters Trust?
Right. Okay. I'll be brief. My main responsibility is liaising with supporters, being there. It's a very hard time for all of us at the minute. We're still in the pandemic, and going to Accrington Stanley for a lot of supporters, it's a way of getting away from the stress and what can really affect our minds and bodies, and it's great just as an escape to go to Accrington. So I'm there as a means of support for our fans. Point them in directions. I'm not going to be counselling in any way, but I'm there as a point of call. I can point them in direction of help where it's needed, and also a responsibility for the Memorial Garden, which a lot of our fans might not have seen because this has all been ongoing since the pandemic. So I will be found in the Memorial Garden on match days for anybody who wants to come and have a chat. So I'll be liaising with families as well as those who've got plaques in our Memorial Garden. That's basically it in a nutshell.
I think that's great, Debra. And
just another example of how Accrington Stanley isn't just a sports team, but a big, giant family.
Yeah.
Well, and definitely. Also too, the one thing the Memorial Garden means to me is, and what you just touched on, Debra, and it means a lot, is that when I go there next time, is I'm going to be able to sit and reflect. My dad that went to Stanley. His photographs actually in one of Darren's books, and my grandfather used to live on Stanley Street, walk over to Peel Park, and I just want to go there and sit and reflect on my dad and granddad, being part of the Stanley, and I think that's important, and it's nice to know that you'll be part of that, because if I'm there, then that you will be able to assist me on my thoughts about. And look forward to that. Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into Stanley in the upcoming season. We've got a couple of questions we're sort of just going to sort of blend into one here. But one thing I wanted to ask Debra is, like, with the players that you've seen last year and coming in this year, is there a particular player that you think might have a breakout season or should have a breakout season?
Yeah, I mean, last year, one of the players who stood out for me was Joe Pritchard. It was just unfortunate that he got injured at a critical point of our season, because I think if he'd have stayed fit, I think it would have made a real difference to the latter end of the season. So I'm looking forward to seeing Joe, really, because the team they gel more when he was in the team. He seemed to know where people was running to, where he could just pass the ball and knew where they were running. I thought it was a big loss to us as well as the goalkeeper, what we lost as well. We had a few key players who were lost to injury last season, which was a shame. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Joe Pritchard, and hopefully he keeps fit.
Yes, I agree. So obviously,
couldn't agree with you more. You've
obviously got him in your starting 11. Who? I have. What formation are you going to go with, Debra? And
this took a while for me to come up with, because I've been away on holiday, so I haven't seen the trial list and the new signings really. So I've really kept to the oldies, as I say.
Okay.
So I've got Savin in the net, and then I've got back four of Nottingham, Burgess, Butcher, and Sykes. I think he's coming back to full fitness, is Ross. So that'd be good to get him in.
Yeah, he was another guy that really struggled with injuries last year.
He did.
So you're going with the back four then? That's good.
Yeah,
okay.
Back four. Yeah, and then I've got McConville, Pritchard, and I've got O'Sullivan on the other side. So three. Keneally's out at the minute, isn't he? So I've just sidelined him, and then I've gone with Charles Bishop and Mumbango. I knew I'd say that wrong. Mumbango.
Yeah.
But when Keneally comes back, I'd go just for the two up front, and Keneally just drops in behind the front two.
Yeah, I I can't disagree with anything you said
No.
there. I like the idea of a three up front, especially those three, because Charles and Bishop are going to score. And I think I haven't seen him play yet, but I've heard a lot about Mbongo at Burnley.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of expectations. And I think he's going to be a handful for defense. But you put all three up front, and that could be a nightmare for defenders, couldn't it?
It could be. I didn't know whether to go five at the back, but I wasn't sure who to slot in. Probably one at new lads, but as I say, I haven't seen any at new lads yet. So.
Well, we're hearing good things about.
Any time that John Coleman brings somebody in, it seems to work out. I think one of my sayings around here is "In John we trust."
Definitely. Yeah.
So based on, that lineup, I can see doing a lot of damage. And based on last season's performance and where they finished 11th, the $1 million question: where do you see Stanley finishing the end of this season, Deborah?
Yeah, well, if going back to last season, I think if we hadn't have had all the injuries that we did at that crucial point in season, I think we would have got in the playoffs, no problem. So I'm going with that again. I think we will get in the playoffs. With fans behind the players, and the Clayton End's a tremendous place to be, especially second half if they're kicking towards the Clayton End. And who knows, we could have another memorable season. If injuries, because we have a small squad, don't we? And we always say we've got the smallest, budget. But yeah, I would think I'm hopeful that we will get in the playoffs.
And I think John Coleman's brought in enough competition for backup places, because you've got Harvey Rogers that played it, and there's a lot of good quality players that Tom Lee I've heard good things about, and this Hardy lad that's from Liverpool that's the fourth striker. So there's some quality there, Deborah, and I like your selection, and I think what you're saying about the playoffs. I think a lot of the so-called experts, are picking Stanley to be 18th, 19th, or 17th, and I don't think they give John Coleman and the squad the respect that they deserve. But I think people who watch Stanley are all of the same opinion that this has the markings of a playoff team.
Yeah, definitely.
And the other thing that you were saying, Deborah, that it really it illustrates how far Stanley's come over the last few years, is you mentioned that you were picking mostly players that have been with the club a couple of years already. And a few years ago, that wouldn't have been an option, because Stanley would have, 60, 70, 80% of the squad would be completely new players from year to year. So being able to have guys that have been with the club 3, 4, even 5 seasons in some cases now, it just makes a huge difference, because guys know that system and they've built that camaraderie in the dressing room. And I think that is where we're going to see a step forward. And like you mentioned, Joe Pritchard, he was a guy that last year, before he got injured, he had taken just miles of steps forward from the season before. And to me, what I see is that, when Jordan Clark left, that obviously left a really big hole. And Pritchard, he came in and he was really doing an admirable job of being the new clicker, if you will. And I think he's going to take another step forward this year, like you were saying. And just knock on wood that him and everybody can stay on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, Deborah,
we've been able to offer contracts, longer contracts, where Phil just said, with the new players all the time, but we're being able to hold on to some of them now, and it builds up, and they're a good team. What we can out. I mean, we've got Butcher and Burgess, these relatively new ones. What we're getting, and you can see that they're gelling on the pitch.
Well, when you look Yeah, when you look, there's only 2 or 3 spots to fill. That says a lot, because that wasn't the case in years gone by, and like you said, you can build on that from last year with the players they brought in. So, Debra, this has been a real pleasure for us and for me to have a chat with you again. And I'm looking forward to getting over. Unfortunately, not this year, but I will be over next year, and I look forward to spending some time with you and seeing you in the Memorial Garden.
Yeah, and we'll have the new hospitality
I know,
as well.
I'm going to break that in too, Debra.
We can have that as well.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Cheers, Debra.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you so much. And on
Thank
Stanley
you.
on.
On Stanley on, definitely. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Phil. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Debra. Cheers.
Thank you.
Tony, I've really enjoyed this so far. We've had 2 outstanding guests on the show thus far to give their predictions for the upcoming season. Now we're welcoming back a guy who was on the show with us not too long ago from the Accrington Stanley Supporters Club of Central Scotland. Welcome back to the show, Keith Laird. Thank you for joining us today, Keith. And we look forward to hearing what you think is going to happen with Accrington this season and getting your predictions for the starting 11 and whatnot. Welcome back, Keith.
Hi there. It's good to be back. I'm kind of humbled that you've asked me back. So,
well, you're
looking forward to it.
You're a big fan, and you know, I love seeing what you post on your Central Scotland, and you're traveling to see the team, so you're as big a fan as anybody. And when we do a show like this, we want to get perspective from people like yourself, and it was a no-brainer when I suggested it to Phil, and so here we go. We want to get your thoughts on the upcoming season, because you've been to some pre-season matches, I take it, haven't you, Keith?
Yeah, I've been to 4. I was away at Clitheroe, away at Warrington, and the 2 home games. So I've seen a few games, so it's so good to be back watching football again. I can't wait till the season starts.
Yeah,
when this started.
Just a whole different experience when you get to be there.
Yeah, and I think for Keith, he's an ideal person to talk about the formation, the players, and that sort of thing. One question I wanted to lead off with, Keith, is there a particular player that you look at to having a breakout season?
One player that really excites me, and I've seen him a few times in pre-season, and it's a young guy called Rhys Fenlon. I think he's going to get opportunities this season, and this could be a real good season for him. I think he could be an impact player, but coming from the bench. So maybe the last 20 minutes, the teams are getting tired. Rhys Fenlon could come on. He's very skillful. He's a real creative ball player. He could be the man. Much the same as Joe Pritchard, but as a young lad at age 19, I think Rhys Fenlon could be one to watch this season.
Well, he signed some really good young prospects, and like Tommy Lee, and then there's Hardy up front. So these are young players that, give them the opportunity, they should, they've got something to prove, and like you said, could be impact players in their own right.
That's an important thing that you mentioned as far as impact players off the bench, because I really felt that was maybe something that we were missing last season, is when we needed that late goal. We didn't always have really anybody to bring in that had that scoring touch.
Yeah, I think he's much the same as Joe Pritchard. When Joe Pritchard first came to Stanley, he was a bit part player, where he would come on late in the game and change the game and create and score as well. And I'm sure Rhys can do exactly the same.
Right. So based on what you've seen so far with the 4 matches that you've seen in pre-season, what's your formation are you going to come out with, and can you give us your starting 11?
It's going to be like the three central defenders, the 2 wing backs, and 3 in the midfield, and the 2 up top. I'm going to, as my goalkeeper, I'm going to go with John Coleman and go with James Trafford. I feel really sorry for Toby Savin because last season Toby was thrown in at the deep end right at the start when we didn't really have a goalkeeper, and Toby did brilliant, and he lost his place to Nathan Baxter, which is totally understandable. And then towards the end of the season when Toby got back in, he played absolutely brilliant, and it's disappointing that he maybe isn't going to get a start on Saturday. But John Coleman sees James Trafford and Toby Savin every day, so he's going to go with. I'm sure he's going to go with James Trafford.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go with the Trafford in goals.
Okay.
3 central defenders will be Michael Nottingham, Ross Sykes, and Cameron Burgess, and they are going to be really. They're going to be really strong. The 3 of them, they pick themselves. For my wing backs, I'm going to go on the left-hand side, I'm going to go Sean McConville. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to change, because I think Coleman's going to go with John O'Sullivan, but I'm going to go with Harvey Rogers. And the reason being is Harvey's more of a defensive player. My midfielders, I'm going to go with Harry Pell, Matt Butcher, and Joe Pritchard. And Joe Pritchard's going to be the creative, and Pell and Butcher are going to do all the hard work. And up top, it can only be Dion Charles and Colby Bishop. And they're going to score 20 goals each this season.
I'd love to see that.
No, there's no holding back on that. You know what?
Either one of those guys has 20 goals in them, no doubt.
Well, and what I like what you just said, Keith, about the midfield. I mean, you've got to have Pell's got to be in there, based on his experience and John Coleman bringing him in, and Pritchard is a given, and you have Butcher in there. Who do you have sitting? Do you have anybody sitting behind the front two, or are you just going to go with like three in the midfield?
I'm just going to go with the 3 in the midfield. Butcher probably left, Pell in the middle, and Pritchard slightly right. But once Seamus Keneally comes back from injury, that's when I've got a problem, because I really need to pick 12 players, but I don't think that's allowed.
No, and I think when he comes back, I think it's going to be he's going to be sitting in front of those back 3. And you might see a diamond formation in the midfield and the 2 wing backs. So it's got a. I think the nice thing is, and you probably agree, Keith, he's got a lot of options this year, and it's not just a set players. He's got really some quality competition in a lot of positions.
I think for the first season ever, there's 2 players for every position. And I think last season we suffered when players were either injured or suspended. This season could be different because, like I say, I think we've got 2 players that can come in and play every position. And it's a good problem that Coleman's got at the moment is picking his 11 players, because there's 22 guys there that are available and good enough. And I think being good enough is very important. And it's probably the first season we've had this.
Yeah, I wanted to get your opinion on I screwed that name up again. I want to get your opinion on Mbongo as far as what you've seen of him, and is he going to be an impact striker off the bench?
Yeah, definitely. The only reason he's not in the starting 11 is because, well, Dion and Colby. I think Joe Mbongo will score goals. What I've seen of him, he gets into positions to get shots on goal. And for a striker, that's got to be one of the most important aspects of his game. And he's been getting shots on target. Against Preston, he could have had 3 goals. It was good goalkeeping that kept him out. But Mbongo will come on and he could score goals as well. Yeah, definitely.
Good. And this is the top question Where do you see Stanley finishing after last season's 11th place? How do you see them ending up? I know it's a shot in the dark, but where do you see at the end of the season, Keith?
This is the worst question ever because I'm usually quite pessimistic. I'm usually I'm usually happy with 20th, but this season, after last season, we've got to aim high, haven't we?
Yep.
I don't know, halfway, 12th. Much the same as last season, I think, or I hope.
12th. At the beginning of the year, I said 12th, and they did me one better and got 11th. So maybe I should say second this year.
Or even first.
I said 17th last year, and I set the bar low, but I think I'm going to have higher expectations this year. And it's all based on what I've been seeing and hearing, and what you just said, Keith, is you just reinforced what I've been looking at. So I got high expectations, but we'll keep that for another show. But no, it's an exciting part of the season because right now we're all tied. Everybody's tied for first, and I think the opening month of the season there is some matches in there that definitely, as far as I can see, all winnable matches. And you never know. We get off to a good start and get up high in the table, and let's see how it kicks on from there.
Yeah, I think a good start is important. I think that's really a key because that's going to help some of the young players and the new guys build confidence. And Keith, I mean, your analysis on some of these new guys that really hardly anybody has had a chance to see yet has really got me encouraged. It sounds like John Coleman has added just the right ingredients, found the jalapenos for the pizza pie that is the Accrington Club. And, I am just overwhelmed with excitement going into Saturday.
I can't wait. I'm on holiday from work just now, and I'm just counting the days because it's going to be great getting back to competitive football with fans in the ground, as it is. That is really exciting.
Well, it's going to be an interesting match, obviously, to kick off the season against at Wycombe, a team that dropped down, and I would assume, I haven't seen it, but I assume Akinfenwa is not with them anymore because he always did damage to Stanley every time he sort of came up against us. But I'm not sure if he's retired. I hope he is, but I see that they've just signed Sam Vokes, formerly of Burnley, and I know he's getting on in his career, but he knows where the net is. But it's going to be a good test, I think, don't you, Keith, for the start of the season?
Yes, it's going to be a good game. I thought it's quite hard to. You don't really know how other teams are going to fare, but I'm optimistic, and I think we could get at least a point on Saturday, definitely.
Great.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's certainly not the easiest match to start off the season with, but I think that I remember last year, I think it was Peterborough that I think we got them in the second match of the year, and we really, we beat them good. It was like 4-1 or
no,
something.
that was I think they beat Peterborough the first match at the Wham, and it was 2-0 win, and I thought that was one of my best matches of the season because I thought the performance then was outstanding and just showed the quality that he had. And I think this year he's built on that squad. So I'm optimistic, and I hope you're wrong, Keith. I hope we come away with 3 points. But when you play away, I'll take a point.
Yeah, if when your home games take a point from your away games, and you're not be far away.
Yep. Well, it's thanks, Keith, for your contribution today. It's very insightful and knowledgeable, and we expected nothing less. And all the best for following them this season. And again, from Phil and I, thanks for all of what you do and the traveling you do and following them. And we certainly appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be on, and anytime, you know where I am.
Well, we may call on you later on, Phil. He's going to be seeing more matches and
we'll definitely need to get you on again during the season, Keith. And like Tony said, we can't appreciate the analysis and you taking the time with us more today. And we always like to finish up with an on Stanley on. So on Stanley
on.
On Stanley on.
Cheers, Keith.
Welcome back to our Accrington Stanley 21-22 season preview show. We're finishing up with a real treat. We've taken you a bit around the globe. We started off with two guests who were in Accrington, and then we moved up north to Scotland when we just spoke with Keith. Now we're coming all the way back to North America, where we have Harry Austin joining us from San Antonio, Texas. And back when we started Across the Pitch, one of the things that I said to myself is I said, out there's got to be thousands, if not millions, of American sports fans who are very passionate about American sports, have an interest in association football or soccer, as we call it over here, but maybe haven't quite picked a favorite English team. They don't want to root for the Manchester Uniteds or the Manchester Cities or Liverpools of the world, and just haven't gotten into the English game properly because they needed a club. And, for me, the story of Accrington Stanley was something that really resonated. And I said, there's other American sports fans out there that are going to love this story and this club as much as I do. And Harry, you are absolute living proof that,
that your idea worked.
You're a lifetime member of the supporters club now. So tell us a little bit about everything, how you started following Accrington Stanley.
Yeah, so for me and like my best memories of supporting the club is going to be probably way different than people locally. Is what last year I was probably my first full-time year where I got the I follow and supported to the Accrington Stanley supporters group, or I forget what it's called here, the OASST. I supported them as the just as a 1 year, just partly because of you, listening to Across the Pitch, and talking to Phil, off record. Me and Phil talk often, not only about Accrington, but locally here and in the United States and other sports. So it's just the passion that Phil brought and Tony brought, and all the cool interviews. And to me, I was thinking about how Across the Pitch talked a little bit about what's happening here in the United States with Phil's local team there. But also more, League One and the different matches and the different teams. And, but it always came back to Accrington was the star of the thing there. And I've never been a guy that latches on to the big clubs because, obviously if I would have, I would have already had a team, but they just didn't appeal to me. And, but Accrington did, and like I said here, I know for me, my best memory of supporting the club is supporting Phil and Tony and everybody else on Across the Pitch, to the best of my ability. It's not like I can go to Wham Stadium or to support the team that way, but I can definitely support and retweet and try to.
One day you and I are gonna share an Accy ale in the Clayton Inn. I think that's got to happen.
That is, and that ties into kind of what I'm looking Tony sent a question out. What are you looking forward to at the league match at Wham Stadium? Mine is, where me and Phil make that trip over, for, obviously for this year, we'll be following, Saturday mornings is, typically I don't know if I wake Phil up with the tweets or not, but
I usually so here's where I'm at is in Arizona we don't do daylight savings time. So about half the season the games start at 8 a.m. and half the season they start at 7. So if it's the 8 o'clock time, I'm usually pretty up and awake. But yeah, when 7 a.m. starts, a lot of times you are waking me up before kickoff. So I appreciate that wake up call, if you will.
I have a tough time being at 10 o'clock kickoff time, but for you guys, hats off to you guys and to Harry. I think it's a great story, and really, credit goes to not only Harry but to Phil for starting this across the pitch. And just because as I've told the story before, many years I thought I was the only Accrington Stanley supporter in North America, and I bugged Phil enough about the team that he said we better get this guy on board, or else he's going to keep bugging. And it is nice, and I always get a kick out of on the I follow Harry was when Dan Jewell gives you a big shout out, because he'll always mention that Harry's with us from San Antonio, and I think that seems rather exotic for a lot of people in Accrington. So it's nice that you're well known on iFollow now.
So, but no, it's
absolutely the biggest compliment that you could possibly give when you say that our show is what made you want to follow Accrington Stanley, because at the end of the day, that's what we do this for.
Yeah, it's all about growing the brand, and I know I submitted a question over to them, especially for membership. Last I knew, it still wasn't available to be able to purchase off the team's website, for stateside, just on who they go through. So hopefully in the future I'll be able to buy stuff directly, and support the club directly that way as well. So.
Well, one thing is the trading cards. I know you got your trading cards, and I heard that there might have been a special card in there.
Yeah, I had the one with the 2 signatures for him, so I have them kind of put up in a special area, not where I'm at right now. But no, like I said here, I was impressed with them, and like I said, a lot of hard work and time that you guys put into them, and I was tempted to get a second one, but I've still got baseball cards underneath our bed. So
you'll want to hang on to those, because I keep telling people that John Coleman card, one day when Netflix makes a documentary about John Coleman, that card's going to be hot property.
Well, you figure, and I don't know if this is an American thing here. You got to figure, if there is a Hall of Fame for English soccer, and I know there's a lot of great coaches, but, looking at his history, his long-term history, and, how he's, I don't want to say he's overperformed, but I think that's kind of the perception. He gets the most out of every club, kind of like over here in USL, there's a Bob Lilly that to me is kind of very similar to where he never has the best talent, but he's got a system that's just in place, and he gets results even though people don't year in year out say, hey, they won't meet get the best results. But to me, looking at his record, he's gotten results no matter where he's been.
He absolutely has, 4 promotions and no demotions, says it all. And this year he's brought in some new players, and then, of course, we have some returning players. And one of the questions that we sent over to you is, who do you think is going to be your breakout player for Accrington this year? You think it's going to be one of the new signings or one of the guys coming back?
The person that I listed is coming back, but with an asterisk. Harry Parrott, defender, who had I think it was a broken leg last year, if my notes are correct here. I know he's a young guy only at 20, but to me, he's somebody that I think that could take the next step up if he's fully healthy this year, and kind of help lead that back line for Accrington Stanley. And he's got a great first name, so why not pick him?
That's there's valid points to your selection too there, Harry, because I think there's depth on that back line now, but you've got to look at Michael Nottingham. He's not getting any younger, and so you've got a guy like Harry Perrott and Barkley ready to step in, and that's one thing I find this year is that the depth they have at these positions. So I think that's not a bad selection. Harry, based on the team that you saw play at the end of the season, let's just go with that lineup and say, where do you see any different players coming in to that lineup? Maybe we'll work it from that angle.
So, well, obviously there's going to be a change at goal. I think James Stratford and I think he's going to get the start. I think that might be the big one. Nothing against Toby Savin and the improvements that he's made, but I do think that Trafford would probably be my starting goalie. Nottingham, Burgess, and Sykes are probably the three there. But and then what Harry and Harvey would be on the wings, right?
Okay.
Midfield, you got to have. I know that was one of your questions. Does Seamus Connolly start? I think if he's the captain, you're starting him unless it's a health thing. Now, the question is, and this comes with Coach Coleman's lack of substitution or not really liking to sub. So if maybe he can't go the full 90, maybe he only goes 60-70 minutes, does that play? But I'm a firm believer if you got the armband that that you're starting, if you're healthy, for that here.
Yeah, I think I agree, Harry. If he's healthy, he starts, and then that's your man in front of the back three. And if you look up front, I think it's been the consensus so far, and stop me if you don't agree, but I think looks like Charles and Bishop would be the two strikers, correct?
Yeah. I'm shocked that Charles is still here personally. I thought that after last year he would have had the opportunity to move on, but I'm happy he's back.
I think that really kind of speaks volumes to the stability that Andy Holt has brought to the club, because I think prior to Andy Holt being here that he wouldn't have, because I think a guy comes out, scores 19 goals, that Accrington kind of would have had to take whatever money was being put on the table, where with Andy Holt, if the money isn't right, he's going to keep the guy until it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think, Phil, now you don't have to sell. And if they do sell, the buyers have got to match the Accrington's evaluation of the player.
Where do you guys see Joel Mambongo fitting in on that? Because he's a young kid that's came in on loan as well.
Yeah, he's got a lot of high hopes for him from Burnley. I've seen of him the under 23s at Burnley, and I see him really coming in off the bench around the 60-minute mark myself, for whoever's really not sort of clicking on the day, whether it be Bishop or Charles. And I think for the cup matches and the Papa John Trophy, I think you'll see him start up front. But I see him as a sub coming on for 30 minutes and having a bit of impact. And if unfortunately, touch wood, none of these strikers go down, if they do, then you've got good cover in Joel to pick up the slack. So, but the other one person that I wanted to ask you about, Harry, is that they've signed was I think right off the bat was Harry Pell, and he's a big, tall player that likes to get forward. He scores. He's good on the in the midfield defensively as well. Would you see him starting in the starting 11?
Who are you taking out? You got Pritchard, right?
Yeah, you got Pritchard. He's got to start.
He's got to start. So you figure three. You figure the captain's got to get one. Pritchard's got to get one. So then the other spot, are you putting, Harry Pell in over, Butcher or McConville?
Well, that's I think this is the.
That's a good problem to have. I think
it's a pivotal
without being able to see the games at this point. It's hard for me to say which one, and then you've got to figure coach has got something up his sleeve as well. That
I think the big thing is that the back three are unanimous, and the two strikers are unanimous pretty well for everybody. I think where where Coleman has his job cut out for him is how his midfield is made up of, and I think that depends if he goes with two center backs and two full backs, 4-4-2. But I think you're going to see a rotation through of players with Pell, Butcher, maybe Rogers. But I think you're going to see some of those get minutes. But and McConville too. He may, with his a full season back from his injuries, he may not be able to play a full 90 minutes every match, which
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think McConville is really the biggest question mark. I mean, this is a pivotal season in his entire career because he's really, not just last year but over the past few years, he's struggled with injury. So what it's gonna come down to, if he comes back, he's healed up, he's 100%, he's in form, he's gonna be good enough to be in the starting 11, and he's going to be the Sean McConville that we're used to seeing. I'm concerned whether or not we're going to see that. I mean, he's a guy with a lot of miles on the odometer, and he's had major injuries. He's had nicks here and there, and I mean, I really, really hope that he's put that in his past, but I'm just concerned if he's going to stay healthy or not.
Well, one of the things that I think that we've learned from preseason is that it looks like McConville may be playing more in a central role in midfield, and utilizing Pritchard more on the wing because he's got the young legs, and maybe McConville might be better suited in the midfield behind the two center forwards, just because of maybe less running for him up and down the wing. And then maybe he's the guy that you sub after 60 minutes and you bring on a Butcher or a Pell or a Rogers or somebody like that, because you've got lots of choices to do that. And I don't think you have to stick with the same.
I can't see Butcher not being in the starting lineup somewhere, because he's just such a versatile guy. And I mean, he's a guy that to me, he's a two-way player where he's going to impact on both offense and on defense. And I think that they don't maybe have so many guys out there that are good both ways. I think there's a lot of guys out there that are either really good on offense or will help you defensively, but Butcher is to me their best two-way player.
So for goalie, do we have kind of another situation like we had last year with Baxter and Toby, with Trafford and Savin, with Toby again? Do you think? I thought Baxter would have started from the start, but Toby got at least for the first few games and was in great form, and kind of held it for what I think it was player of the month or goalkeeper of the month. He had one of those great streaks, and then Baxter kind of took over. What do you guys think for the goalies? What's been the consensus on that?
Tony?
Thanks, Phil. Well, I think it's a tough one, but I'm leaning towards that he's going to start Trafford because of where he's come from and his pedigree to date, and it's another learning. I mean, Savin's still young and still learning, And I think he'll play the cup games, and heaven forbid if there's any injuries, he's ready to step in like he did when Baxter went down. I think it was a good season overall for Toby, because I think he learned a lot. So, but I think I think we might have to pencil in that this is another year of learning for Toby Savin, and I think it's a close call, but I think Trafford might get the start.
I agree with you, Tony. I just give you a bit of a hard time there, but yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to the same thing that we saw with Baxter this year, is when a big club sends a player to Accrington Stanley on loan, they don't send him here to sit on the bench.
Right. And Toby's what, 20? I think looking at it here.
Yeah, he's young.
So he's still young, although Trafford's 18, so even younger, but obviously coming from Man City, that's got to carry a little bit of weight for here. But I'm looking forward to it this weekend, right? The 7th. I think.
That leads me to the last question: is based on the last season where Stanley finished 11th. Where do you think Stanley's going to end up at the end of the season?
So I was doing my research on this here. I think looking at most preview sites online, they have them 15th, 20th. So some a little bit higher. I think they're going to be I think they're going to finish top 10. I think if they wouldn't have had the injuries, because of the just on how compacted the season was last year, and especially after they missed a couple of weeks with COVID, unfortunately, that their schedule towards the end just got so compacted that you just couldn't keep up with it. But listening to Phil, listening to you guys, this is probably the deepest team. I think you guys have even said maybe even the best talented team. So I'm gonna say a top 10 finish, and I'm gonna say 7th, just out of the playoff push is where I'm gonna pencil them in along those lines here, where hopefully we can get into one of the playoff spots. But if you were to get you're gonna put me on record here, I'm gonna say 7th, just out. I
think that's a good shout, Harry, and I think when you look at the odds makers and some predictions, they have, as you said, have Stanley down in the bottom half and fighting relegation again. And I just think that just doesn't give the players and the coaching staff the credit. And I think anybody who is a knowledgeable about Stanley will have them in the top half, and the so-called experts have them in the bottom half. So I think we're on board with that one. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like Tony said, I think you have a real good position there. As heartbreaking as that would be to finish one position shy of the playoffs, I mean, I definitely think we have a top 10 side here. I haven't made my final prediction yet, but I have gone on record as saying I think that we're a top 10 side, and we'll finish at least one position better than last season, which would be a historic finish, because last season's 11th was the historic highest finish in Stanley history.
It all comes down to health, and that's whether you're playing USL over here or you're playing League One, over there, or, the Premier League, it always comes down to health, unless you're one of the big dollar teams that just has all the depth. If they can stay healthy and maybe, the January transfer window, maybe bring in a couple of pieces that may be missing without losing pieces, then, like I said here, I think playoffs is a possibility, but I know there's other strong teams in the league here. So, I'm not going to go on record and say, hey, they're, playoff bound, even though in my heart, I'd love to see it, but.
Well, I think we can all agree that this team has the potential, and one thing it's going to be an exciting season, and I'm looking forward to it, and I know you guys are, and it's finally here, and we'll see kickoff and on Saturday, and it's a tough match away at Wickham, but let's hope they come away with 3 points.
They'll start out well. I'm thinking they'll start out much better than people will say. I think they'll get points. They'll at least get a point on Saturday. I'll leave it at that.
I think that's going to be the consensus is with a tough road match against a team dropping down from the championship that a point will make all of us happy. But I'm going to go out on a limb here because this may be the last recording day that we do before Saturday. I am going to say Stanley takes a full 3 points from Wickham on Saturday. Mark that down.
Okay, I'm going to the 3-1 Stanley win.
I'll go 2-1 Stanley with a goal with the winner and after the 80th minute.
Oh, there you go. That's being precise.
I love it. Well, Harry, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show as always, and we'll definitely have you on again throughout the season. And as always, we finish up on Stanley on.
Stanley on. Don't change your number, Phil.
Cheers.
See you.